Hi, second graders. We are going to continue with comparing three-digit numbers today, and we are in the instruction book on page 108. So let's go ahead and get right to our work today. On this first page, it gives us a little story to think about, and then it gives us a couple different ways that you could go about solving a comparing problem. So let's go ahead and read that little story. It says, these two paintings are in the school art contest. Which painting has more votes? So we have painting A, which is showing us that it got 467 votes, and painting B, which got 463 votes. Okay, and then the question on our little story says, which painting has more votes? So it wants the highest number. Now you guys are really good at this and you probably already have figured out the answer to the question, but the first thing that it wants to do is show you a couple different ways you can go about solving these types of problems. The first way they're showing you is you could just draw a picture of hundreds, tens, and ones models and take a look at the picture that you've drawn and solve it that way. So on this first one, they're showing you how you would draw a picture of 467. You would draw 4 hundreds, 6 of the tens, and 7 ones. And then for 463, you would also have 4 hundreds. You would also have 6 tens, but you would only have 3 ones. And then when you look at that and you see what's the same and what's different, you would know how to compare. We already know that both numbers have 4 hundreds and both numbers have 6 tens. Since both numbers have the same hundreds and the same tens, that tells us we will be looking at the ones in order to make our comparison. So in 467, there are 7 ones, and in 463, there are 3 ones. And so these are the two things that we're going to compare to know which number is the most or had the most votes. And we can easily see that 7 is greater than 3, so that means 467 is the one that has the most votes, or painting A. We're going to move on down, and then they also show us that we could model it by making a place value chart and putting our numbers in there. So the top number is showing us 467. We've got 4 hundreds, 6 tens, and 7 ones. And then the number below it is showing us 463 with 4 hundreds, 6 tens, and 3 ones. And again, we know that since they both have the same amount of hundreds and both numbers have the same amount of tens, that means we'll be comparing the numbers in the ones place to solve the problem. All right, so let's move on to page 109. And here's where we're going to be writing some answers. Number 7 is saying, look at the models on the previous page. Compare the hundreds and tens. What do you notice? Well, we noticed that the hundreds and the tens are the same number in both, or the same digit in both numbers. So that's what we're going to write. We noticed the hundreds and tens in both numbers have the same digits. Okay. All right, remember this is a video, so if you need to pause the video and keep writing, you go right ahead. I'm going to move on to the next question. The next question says, which place do you need to look at to compare the numbers and why? Well, we know from looking at the previous page that since the hundreds are the same in both numbers and the tens are the same in both numbers, we need to compare the numbers in the ones place, right? Okay, so that's what we write. Which place do we need to look at to compare the numbers and why? We need to look at the ones place, or let's say we need to compare the ones place since the hundreds and tens are the same. Okay, so again, if you need to pause the video to write your words, you go right ahead, and I'm going to move on. It says use the numbers 467 and 463 to complete each number sentence. Okay, I'm going to draw your attention to the symbol that they have given us already. On this first number sentence, you are going to put a number here that will be greater than the number you put here. In the second number sentence, it's switched around. So the number that you write here will be less than the number you write here. Okay, and you're going to be using these two numbers to fill out both number sentences. So pause the video, write your numbers where they need to go, and then come back and see if you got it right. Pause the video now. Okay, and we are back. I hope that you wrote 467 is greater than 463, and then here I hope you wrote 463 is less than 467. All right, and we're going to move on. Why can you write two different number sentences to compare 467 and 463? Why can we write two different number sentences? So here's a hint, guys. There's one hint, and there's another hint. So you're going to pause the video, and you're going to write in your words, why is it that we can write those numbers in two different number sentences? When you're done, unpause the video and see if we have similar things written. Go ahead and pause now. Okay, well, this is what I wrote. I said we can either start the sentence with the largest number or we can start with the smaller number. And you might have said something different. You might have talked about the greater than symbol, and that if you use greater than, you're going to start with the bigger number, or if you use less than, you'll start with the smaller number. So either way is fine, and if you still need time to finish writing, please pause the video and continue writing, okay? But we're going to move on to the next thing. Which painting has more votes? How do you know? So now we just have to tell whether it's painting A or painting B. Okay, painting A has 467 votes, and painting B had 463. So we know that it's painting A has the most votes because 7 is larger than 3. So painting A, whoops. Painting A is, I'm sorry, let's do that again. Painting A has more votes because 7 is greater than 3 in the ones place. Okay, so you go ahead and pause the video and finish writing if you need to, but we're going to go on down to this very last problem on page 109. There are 6 different problems here. There are number sentences that you need to fill in a greater than symbol or a less than symbol in the blank. Remember, the greater than symbol, the alligator is wanting to eat the bigger number, which comes first. And if you're going to use the less than symbol, then the greater number will be the second number that you write on your sentence, okay? So don't forget that. Go ahead and pause the video and fill in all 6 of these equations and then come back and see if you got it right. Pause the video now. Okay, here we are. And for A, you should have written less than. For B, you should have written less than. For C, you need to have greater than. D should be greater than. E is less than, and F is greater than. Okay, I hope you got those all correct. All right, let's move on to page 110. And on 110, they're giving us an example first, and they want us to read the problem and look to see how they solved it, to give us some ideas on how we could go about solving some of these problems. It says Yen packs 250 oranges in a box. Gia packs 25 bags of oranges. She puts 10 oranges in each bag. Who packs more oranges? All right. So now one of the kids or people, it just says that he packs 250 oranges, okay? The other one gives us a step to do that the first one didn't give us. This one is talking about 25 bags full of oranges, okay? And in each bag, there are 10. That means we have 25 tens, okay? 25 tens. And 25 tens, we know, is the same as 250, okay? So now we're comparing Yen's 250, and Gia also has 250, correct? Yes. So 250 is equal to 250. And the answer is they each pack 250 oranges. Neither person packs more than the other. All right? So that's one way that you can solve the problem. They knew that they were going to have to do a little more work on figuring out how many Gia packed because of the way it talked about hers. All right, so it's kind of a 2-step problem almost, all right? Okay, let's move on and see what we can do with our problem. It says, which 2 players have the greatest scores? Write the number of hundreds and tens in the table. So it wants to know which 2 players have the greatest scores. But they're giving us 4 different players, okay? So we're going to have to pick out the 2 with the greatest scores. We also have to write the number of hundreds and tens in the table, okay? So let's just first take a look at the numbers that we have in our chart. It says Eden has a score of 92, okay? So I want you to think about that when you go to fill in the chart. They want us to put how many hundreds and how many tens. Sarita has 233. Paul has 213. And Chen has 236. So the first thing you're going to do to show your work is you're going to be filling out the chart, the hundreds and tens, for each of those 4 numbers. Then you have to pick the 2 that have the greatest scores. So I'm going to have you pause the video and write in the chart, and then I want you to write down on the answer down below who were the two students that had the greatest scores. All right, pause the video and do your writing. Okay, we're back, and I hope that your chart looks like my chart. Eden had 92, so Eden had 0 hundreds, but he does have 9 tens. Sarita, her number was 233, so there were 2 hundreds and 3 tens. Paul had 2 hundreds and only 1 10, and Chen had 2 hundreds and 3 tens. So these two were actually the same when we're only looking at hundreds and tens, and that gave us our two top scores, okay? So Sarita and Chen were the ones that had the greatest scores. All right, and we're going to flip to the next page, and this will be the last page we work on today. It says Bella biked 122 miles. Ariel biked 126 miles. Who biked fewer miles? Now that word few is in there as the root word, so few or fewer means smaller or less than. So which one biked the less amount of miles? Okay, so you are going to solve this one however you'd like, and then come back after you're done solving it and see if we have the same thing. So go ahead and pause the video and solve it, showing your work, and write your answer at the bottom, and then come back. Pause now. Okay, I hope you finished solving the problem. And I just decided to do a place value chart and compare my numbers that way. So I put Bella's number in at the top, and Bella had 100, 2 tens, and 2 ones. And then Ariel's number I put in the bottom, and Ariel had 100, 2 tens, and 6 ones. So when I did my comparing, I saw that the hundreds were the same, which is why I checked them off. They're the same. So I moved on to the tens, and the tens were the same. They both had 2 tens. So then I knew that I was comparing the ones place, and I saw that 2 is less than 6. So that told me that Bella had biked the fewer miles. All right, and hopefully you have something similar. Maybe you solved it a different way, but I hope that you got that Bella biked fewer miles. All right, we're going to move on to number 15. It says Jill and Iman each write a 3-digit number. Jill's number is 305, and Iman's number is 3 hundreds and 5 tens. So it gave us 2 different ways to write numbers. The first way, Jill's number is written in standard form, and Iman's number is more of an expanded form. Which number sentence compares their numbers correctly? All right, so let's go over here, and this little guy over here is telling us what number is the same as 3 hundreds and 5 tens, okay? And you may already know that answer. But for now, let's just make ourselves a little hundreds, or a place value chart over here. Hundreds, tens, and ones. And I'm going to put Jill's number in first, which is 3 hundreds, 0 tens, 5 ones. Put my little squiggly line there, showing I'm just comparing numbers. And then Iman's number goes below that. His is 3 hundreds and 5 tens. So I want you to plug in Iman's number in the chart. Then I want you to come over to the side and see which one of these equations over at the side, A, B, C, or D, which one is correct, okay, when we're comparing those two numbers. So pause the video, finish Iman's number in the chart, and then go back and get the correct answer. Okay, I hope you have finished your problem and found that C is the correct equation for comparing these two numbers. And Iman's number filled in the chart with 3 hundreds and 5 tens, and of course that means we have 0 ones. So C is the correct choice. And then the very last part of this page says that Dan chose B as the answer. This answer is wrong. How did Dan get his answer? Let's take a look at what he chose. Dan chose B, and B says 305 is equal to 305. So he thought both numbers were 305. So what did Dan do wrong? How did he get the answer wrong? Why does he think that Iman's number was 305 and not 300s and 5 tens? So you pause the video and think about that and write your answer out. How did he get that wrong? And then come back and see what I wrote and see how we compare. All right, pause the video. Okay, here we are, and I hope you have finished your explanation. And this is what I wrote. You may have had something different, but I said that Dan thought Iman's number had 300s and 5 ones, so that's why he thought the number was equal to Jill's number. So, or you may have just said that something like Iman forgot that the tens place went in the middle of the number instead of at the end of the number, or he got the tens and the ones places confused, or something like that. But as long as you have something similar to what I wrote, then I think that you're going to be just fine. So, all right, I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and we will come back tomorrow and finish up our chapter 12 of comparing 3-digit numbers. So until tomorrow, bye.